The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I've got so much going on here. I'm busy thinking about all the things we're going to do this morning on the show because we got a big show for you, a lot planned that we're going to get through. I'm Shannon Penrod. You're watching Autism Live on the Autism Network. Thrilled to be here with you. We're live. We're live right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and about a dozen other places live, and then we will podcast to about 22 places later on today. So whatever way that you're watching this show, we appreciate you watching, but we also appreciate you commenting, liking, sharing, reviewing, so that other people can find us as well. Because that's what we are here for. We're here to spread information and inspiration. That is our guidance. That's why we've been doing this. We're now in our 13th year, information and inspiration. But if we can't get it to people, then we haven't done our job, right? But for that, we ask for your help and your support, because when you participate, if there's something here that you see that you like, please share it, because that means that maybe 2 other people will find it, and then they'll share it with 2 other people, and that way other people get the information. Michelle, good morning. I'm so glad that you're here. This brings me to my next thing, that if you want to be participating in the live show, all you have to do is write in on the platform that you're watching us, and I can see it right here on our screen. If you have a longer message to send just to me that you don't want read on the air necessarily, you would send that directly to me, Shannon at autism-live.com, although I don't check those messages during the live show. I am not good at multitasking. So as you can see, I've got papers, because we're going to do stuff today, and I've got an iPad and a computer, and I'm talking to you, and that's about my limit. I can't be checking the email. You know what I'm saying? So thrilled to be here. You know, I like to remind all of us from time to time that I am not an expert in autism. Oh no, my friends, contraire. Not at all. But what I am is, I like to say I'm somebody who has an informed opinion. I've been in this community as a pony. I'm a parent of a neurodiverse individual for, I guess it's a little more than 17 years now. And I have tried to, on my best days, be a student in the front row, raising my hand and asking pertinent questions whenever I can think of them, and listening whenever I hear somebody asking a good question. But I'm not an expert. Let's not mistake me for an expert. Mistake me for somebody who's a cheerleader for you, because this whole show is meant for the entire autism community, which starts with individuals who are on the autism spectrum themselves. They are the beating heart of our community. They are our why. They're certainly my why. Why am I here for them? But also for the people who love them. And that's the other part of this big, beautiful autism community. The people who love them, and I was saying this yesterday, that I hope this becomes the entire world. It should. Why? That's a whole other rabbit hole we can go down. Because everybody should be loving people on the spectrum. They probably already do and don't know it, because they're probably somebody in their life that maybe hasn't identified. But we want to create resources for all of you so that you can get to the help and support and information that helps you to continue on and find more help and support, right? Because we do know that some people are going to need help, some people are going to need support, some people need resources. That's a very real thing. But with those help, supports, and resources, that all kinds of amazing things can happen, and really that's what we want to get to. For the individuals to be able to do the things that they want to do and express themselves the way that they want to, right? So all of that to the good. So here's how this show is going to go today. There's so much going on. First, we're going to do Jargon of the Day. Then we're going to do some news stories. That's why my desk is plastered. And then we got a great guest, Dr. Emily, I don't know whether it's Levy or Levy, is going to be with us. She's going to tell us which way we pronounce that. And then at the end of the show, we've got self-advocate Anthony Vasquez is going to be coming back with us, telling us about a performance that he's got coming up with Spec Labs. So we're really excited about all of that, but there's a lot to cover, which is why I'm sort of rushing. But I'll stop rushing if you guys write in comments or questions, because that's important to me too. Okay, so let's get right to the jargon of the day, because this is something we're only doing once a week now, and yet you guys tell us it's one of your favorite things. This is when we take on one word, one phrase, one acronym. We try to, first of all, give you the actual definition, because I think that's educational on some level. And then I make fun, usually, of the actual definition because it's there, and it should be made fun of because it's not accessible to most of us. But then we don't want to leave you hanging not knowing what it was. It was important enough to talk about. So then I give you a working definition, which is hopefully a little less wordy and a little less intensive on new jargon. And then I try to give you an example of why I think it's important to all of us to know what this term means and how it can be useful to us to get to more progress. Sound good? So that's what we're doing. So today's term, Traven's going to pop that up on the screen for us. It's joint attention. Now, this is not when your knees are hurting and you're like, I'm going to pay some attention to that and I'm going to put ice packs on them. No, it's not that. So let's take a look at what this actually is, what our actual definition for joint attention is. And Traven's got it there for us. I know it's coming. Yep. Attention overtly focused by two people on the same object, person, or action, with each being aware of the other's interest. Okay, as an actual definition goes, this isn't the worst one, right? But I kind of just like, I can't quite get a grasp on what that, so attention overtly focused by two people on the same job, like I don't really know what they mean by overtly. So let's go ahead and move on. There's not much to make fun of though. Let's move on to our working definition and see if we can't figure out why this might be important to us. Because I'm going to give you a hint here. If you're talking about social interaction and wanting to build social interaction, this is the beginning. Joint attention is a triangle of attention between two people and something or someone else, a basic building block of social communication. Okay, I love to go to Disneyland. It's one of my favorite things to do. But when my son was little, I used to marvel when I would go to Disneyland because I would see people having a much different experience at the park than I was having. My child would just run and I would have to run after him, right? And there weren't these moments that I would see all over the place where there's a little kid, like we'd be on the tram, and there's a little kid sitting next to their mom, and the mom would, point and go, look, it's Mickey. And then the little kid looks and sees Mickey, and then what does the little kid do? They look at mom and they go, oh, and mom goes, oh, back at them, and then they both look back at Mickey, and they both look at each other and they smile. That's what I was missing. It's called joint attention. That's that triangle of attention. And it can be started by anyone. So there's two people, and one person notices something. And sometimes they'll point it out, or they'll just, their body will change or whatever. And now the other person looks at whatever, they notice this, they look at what the first person looked at, they see it, and then they look at each other as if to say, did you see that? And then they look back at it and look back at each other, and there might be no words, but it's a conversation. It's very much a conversation. And what the conversation is saying is, I want you to look at that because it's cool. And then I go, let me look at what you're looking at. And then we look at each other and going, it's cool, right? And then we look at it again and we go, yeah, it's cool. Now, that might be one part of the conversation. A different conversation, maybe we see a vicious dog that's barking. And the child looks at mom, and the mom is like, right? And so the child goes, what is mom going about? And the child looks at the dog, the vicious dog, and goes, oh, I see a vicious dog, and checks back and looks at mom and goes, mom's afraid, I think I'll be afraid too. And they look at each other and they go, yeah, that's scary. They look at the dog again, yep, it's 100% scary, let's move over here. right? So it doesn't always have to be, wow, look at that, right? This happens all the time. And I always hold up the little triangle because it's the little triangle of attention. And if we miss this step, then we miss so many other things that are coming later on that are social. Because if I'm not checking in, first of all, you know, some of you write in and say, somebody wrote in yesterday and said, you know, my child has no stranger danger. And if the child isn't tuned in to whoever they're with to see what their reaction is, they miss out on learning some of those reactions, right? And if they're not tuned in, you know, then again, it's a whole missed opportunity of what is my opinion of that, and I'm sharing my opinion with that. And it goes both ways. The child doesn't get to share with the parent, I like that, right? And we miss out. And the Disneyland thing is the perfect example of it for me, because I would look, you know, sometimes you look and you go, what am I missing here? I see other parents, I love my child, I'm here with my child, but we're missing things. But this is a place to start. And you don't have to be overwhelmed and go, oh, my 14-year-old doesn't know joint attention. Oh, we missed it. Nope, you can teach it now. My 2-year-old isn't doing a joint attention. Well, let's teach it now, so that they don't get further behind, right? When is a good time to teach joint attention? Today, today. And we can do this in very contrived ways where we want to, you know, think about what does the individual super love, right? This is why Disneyland is a great example, because if you see Mickey Mouse in the flesh, it's pretty exciting. And if you go to Disneyland, there's a million opportunities to work on joint attention. And you kind of overdo it as the parent to start. You go, look, it's Mickey. And you do everything you can to get the child to look and see Mickey. And then you do a big reaction so that they will look back at you. And you're like, and you tickle them or whatever to reward them for doing that, whatever is important to them. And then you point again and go, let's look at it again. And you do this over and over and over again. And if you make it reinforcing enough and you give cuddles, or you take their toy and you tickle them with it, then they go, this is cool. I love checking in to see what mom's reaction is. This is that thing that I was saying the other day about it's all communication and you need to pay attention to communication. So if ever you're someplace with your child and you don't have this, and your child is like pulling you or pointing or looking at something and they're having a reaction, ooh, what a great opportunity for you to jump on and be the other part of the triangle and go, what are you seeing? Can I look? What is that? And make that triangle with them. Great, great opportunity. And know that you are building a social you're creating the platform really upon which all of the social stuff is going to occur. Good morning, Liliana. So joint attention, I get excited about it because I remember what it felt like when I didn't have it. And I just kept being like, what am I missing? What am I missing? And then when somebody pointed it out to me and I was like, oh, now I've got a place to work. And then we started working on it, and it opened a door to communication with my child that was, I get goosebumps thinking about. It was amazing because now we were sharing things. And again, you know, if you have language it, right? If they don't have language, it's okay. You language it, but be there in the communication of it to build that with your child. Know that you're building a stronger relationship with them. And I say child, this could be your teen or the adult that you love on the spectrum. Somebody could be 35 and maybe they don't have joint attention. You can work on it now. You absolutely can work on it now. And for older kids, you can point it out to them and say, hey, there's this thing that we don't do. Can we practice it? Can we try it? I'm going to point to something. When I point to it, I want you to look at it, and then I want you to check in with me. We might not agree on how we feel about it, but let's check in on it and practice that. That's a great thing to do. It shows people that you care about their opinion, and people love that, right? So that's how I would do it with an older person who understands concepts like that, but you can do it without explaining it to somebody. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. Okay, so that's our jargon for today. Write in and tell me if that sings to you, makes sense to you. We've got a bunch of news stories for you today. The first one that we're starting with comes from Sage Journals, and the title of this is Studies Pertaining to Language Impairment in School-Age Autistic Individuals Under-Report Participant Socio-Demographics, a Systematic Review. This is one of those things that I like to go, duh. But we need studies like this to point things out, because there are so many, there have been so many studies that have been done, but not nearly enough, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about this today in the news stories, how this pertains to autism, that if you're not looking at all sides and all corners of something, then you might end up having a hypothesis that isn't accurate. And we know, the abstract here, I'm just going to start, and then I encourage you guys to go look this up. But the abstract says, autism research tends to exclude racially and ethnically minoritized autistic individuals. Yeah, ain't that the truth? Limiting the quality of evidence base for characterizing and diagnosing language impairment in racially and ethnically minoritized autistic individuals. If you're not studying them, then this research that you're putting out is not going to address their individual needs. And that's what this study goes on to look at, in all the different ways in which we have not looked at the wide variety of people who are on the autism spectrum. So that's Sage Journals, and I want you to, especially if you are somebody that has children that you consider to be ethnically diverse or in a racial minority, these are the kinds of things that I want you to get as up on as possible, because they're going to be helpful to you in IEP meetings, and it's going to be part of your advocacy. It should be part of all of our advocacy, because what we study and becomes what we say becomes what ends up getting funded, right? And we can't be leaving people out. Our next story, I think, is the one about the good doctor. Is it? Am I right, Traven? The Washington Post had a really interesting story this week. If it's about if it's the one from Nature, that's okay, because it makes more sense to go to the Nature one first. But which one do you have loaded next? I don't know which order I gave them to you in. Okay, great. That one, no, that one makes much more sense. So from Nature magazine, we've got another article about what the research is and how the research is being done and why it's not okay anymore. And that autistic voices aren't being heard in the research, that the people who are, this is, as I said, from Nature, it's an article titled, "I Am Not a Broken Version of Normal. Autistic People Argue for a Stronger Voice in Research." And this is not new. Autistic people have been arguing for a stronger voice in research for a while. And I remember even a couple of years ago, there was a new thing that people were saying. I was at an Autism Society conference, and one of the big items that was being raised was that if you are involving people on the spectrum in your research, as you should, that they should be paid. That if the researchers are being paid, then the people who are being studied should also be paid, especially if they are adults on the spectrum. Not that children shouldn't be paid for their time as well, but if you are taking, there are times when I get asked to participate in a study, and sometimes I am offered, some form of pay, whether it's a gift card or something to participate, and other times not. I think there are rules about this in research, and I don't understand the difference between the ones that I get paid and the ones I don't, whatever. But I'm 100% sure that people on the spectrum should be paid for their time. They are greatly underemployed. But they should be involved in the research. Thank you so much. This is a great article. There's one glaring thing in it that I have a hard time with, but not for the reasons that you would think. In the very beginning of the article, it says, in 2019, after finding out that her toddler, Luna, was autistic, Yadira Garcia Rojas became fixated on the condition. She would spend her days reading websites and academic papers, trying to learn whatever she could do to help her child, who doesn't speak and needs full-time support and care. When the treatment started, they came as something of a shock. At a clinical center for mental health in Mexico City, therapists would encourage Luna to talk by offering her strawberries, then take them away until she asked for them verbally. They would punish the girl when she flapped her hands or did not make eye contact. Garcia Rojas remembers. And then they would make her crawl through a play tunnel that she was terrified of, sometimes until she stopped crying. And she says it was literal torture, says Garcia Rojas. Most of the interventions, she says, seemed directed at making Luna and other children hide their autism, to be less themselves, no matter what the cost, and tears and screaming. She says, I always came out in crisis. Okay, I want to say that this is a story that I'm hearing a lot of, that therapy being done in this way. I want to be clear that a lot of people assume that that is ABA. These are not ABA principles. I have to be clear about that. I think this is a really, really good article, but that is not good ABA. Somebody wrote into me the other day and said, you know, because we did a piece a while ago saying ABA is ABA torture, and she wrote in and said, of course it's torture, and she said exactly this example. When somebody shows a child the food that they want and then takes it away until they say it, that's torture. And I said, I absolutely 100% agree with you, but that's not ABA. ABA wouldn't show it to you, tease it to you, and then take it away until you said it at all. That would be mean and cruel, and that's not a teaching technique, because that assumes that you already know how to do it and that I'm forcing you to do it, which is not the case for our kids, right? But there's a very real thing that we do with all children, not just children on the spectrum, where the child, you know, let's say that this is a cookie, and the child points and wants the cookie, and then we as a parent say, oh, you want the cookie? Can you say now, we're not taking it and taking it away and going, you can't have it until you do that, but we're saying, can you say and then the child makes an attempt, and we give the cookie to the child, because we're building those pathways. Nobody's taking it and hiding it. Nobody's saying you can't have it until you say it. That's not how you teach something. But we do have an exchange of something that, oh, you want this? And they, you know, maybe they requested for it like this. That's good. In the beginning, we're going to give it to them for requesting for that, but then we're going to build upon that. The next time they request, oh, you want the cookie? Can you say cookie? And if they go, blah, they get the cookie, because that's an approximation. That's what we talked about the other day. That's good ABA. Nobody took that. Nobody hided it. Nobody said you can't have it until you say cookie. No. No. That's bad. That is traumatizing. Somebody would be traumatized. That's not teaching. That's forcing. I'm a teacher. I don't agree with that. So I just wanted to say that. But anyway, what this article is about is the fact that we need to look at research in a different way. And I love that in the article, Simon Baron-Cohen, who is considered one of the great researchers of all time, says that this is a kind of revolution, I think. That's the quote from him. In September of 2021, he and his colleagues paused the Spectrum 10K study, a massive project aiming to understand the genetics of autism and co-occurring conditions. Critics argued that the study had commenced without meaningful consultation of autistic people, and that the data it collects could be misused. The team has now launched a thorough consultation to be finished later this month that will probably alter the project's nature and protocols. And Simon Baron-Cohen says, and by the way, he's related to Sacha Baron Cohen. He says, we're in listening mode at this point. Yippee, yippee, skippy. So read this article. It's rather long, in Nurture. Take a look at that. On the other side of are we in listening mode is from the Washington Post, an article about The Good Doctor. We talked about this last night on when I was on Nicholas's Neurodivergent Journey podcast. But there was a little bit of a firestorm that happened about a week ago after an episode of The Good Doctor in which Sean, as portrayed by Freddie Highmore, who is on the autism spectrum, there was a time when he kept raising his voice each time he repeated the sentence, crescendoing into a scream by the 8th repetition, saying, I'm a surgeon. So the thing about it was that many people said, this does not seem authentic. And the Washington Post, I love this, that it goes on to say that there's kind of a split But hear the praise here. There's two camps on this. One side of experts and advocates for autistic people say that his depiction is an unfortunate assemblage of stereotypical behaviors rather than as a full human. And others feel that the protagonist fairly represents some autistic adults, but offers no insight into the experiences of many others. And that there have been several calls for ABC to employ more autistic screenwriters to make the show more authentic. Here's the thing. When this show first came out, we all went nuts, right? We were so excited that there was going to be this character that was a lead character who was a surgeon or studying to be a doctor on the autism spectrum. We were so excited because that's where we were in that period of time, and we were thrilled. And very quickly, they started hiring actors to portray the other characters on the spectrum that would come in and be on the show that were on the spectrum. Our friend Kobe Bird was the first person that they hired. We were so excited about that. Then there have been other people. Alex Plank has been on the show. There have been other people. And that was amazing, and that was groundbreaking, and we were so thrilled. But here we are 6 years later, and if they were going to do this show now, Freddie Highmore would not be playing the role, because they would be hiring an autistic actor. It's funny that this show has kind of, it has created a pathway where it has sort of made itself less relevant. And I applaud them for doing that. But the thing that critics are saying now is that more people watching one episode of The Good Doctor are learning more about autism than if everyone were to take a college class for that same hour. That's heavy influence. So I'm going to join the crush and say, on the one hand, thank you, ABC, for making this show. But on the other hand, I'm going to say the time has come now that we need to, at the very least, you need to be hiring screenwriters who are on the spectrum. And I'm going to disclose that, you know, of course I feel that way. My son is studying screenwriting. But I would feel that way even if he weren't. You know what I'm saying? And at the very most, it might be time to stop the show, do a different show, and have actors that are on the spectrum. You know, I was a big fan this last... Look, I love actors, and I think that actors can portray all kinds of things if they have the right coaching. There are people... I mean, look at... all the you know, I mean, I look at Daniel Day-Lewis, who did My Left Foot, and it says now, I don't think I could do that now. I think acting is acting, but we are at a pivotal point where we're teaching things, you got to do it authentically. And if you can't portray it authentically, then you have the wrong screenwriters or the wrong support. You got to change what you're doing. I think you can play it authentically with an authentically autistic actor. There I go. Okay, and our last, because we got to get to our guest, wonderful article in U.S. News that talks about this is the title of it, could ear, nose, and throat issues play a role in autism? And I find this really, really interesting because a lot of people who have children that they have discovered are on the autism spectrum will talk about having early ear infections, having hearing concerns, having strep throat. I think there are lots of different ways that we can look at this, and certainly for years we have looked at it about are the antibiotics playing a role? Right? Is the strep virus playing a role? But perhaps we need to be looking at it all the way around and saying, is there something that starts even before we're giving the medicine that's causing the problems? So take a read. It's an interesting read. U.S. News World Report. Okay. We've got guests, and I'm late, so I do apologize. Our first guest is Dr. Emily Levy. I think it's Levy. For over 19 years, she's been operating ELB coaching, which specializes in one-on-one home and virtual tutoring for students in grades pre-K through 12. She offers specialized education for students by developing a customized diagnostic and prescriptive plan to suit the needs of each pupil. Throughout the span of time, her business has assisted thousands of children to become not only stronger from a scholastic standpoint, but also increase the level of confidence and self-image. This is her daily duty, and now she's working twice as hard to reach more students with autism, on the autism spectrum. As a bit of background, Dr. Levy is an educational expert, business owner, public speaker, and author based near New York City. She holds a master's degree in special education and doctorate degree in education from Nova University. And we're very excited. She's got tons and tons of awards that she has won. We're really excited to talk with her about what she is doing for students on the spectrum. So let's welcome Dr. Levy.
Hi there.
Hello. Oh, I can't hear you. Traven's going to work on that for just a second. Well, I'm going to read some of the awards that she's won while we work on the sound. She specializes, as I said, in tutoring program for individualized research-based tutoring with children with specialized learning needs in grades pre-K through 12. Dr. Levy's 5-year research study on alternative strategies for teaching reading comprehension found her winning a 5th place Westinghouse Science and Talent Award. That's pretty impressive. In 2017, she was selected as one of Bergen County's commission on the status of women honorees during Women's History Month, very much deserved. She's spoken nationally and internationally on various education topics and writes regularly for education publications. And do we have her sound yet? We're working on it still. Oh no. Oh, I think I heard you for just a second.
Okay.
Okay, Traven, can you turn it up just a little? So is it Dr. Levy or Dr. Levy?
Dr. Levy, thank you for asking.
Levy, sorry about that. So Dr. Levy, we're so excited to have you this morning.
I'm excited to be here.
Well, you've got quite a lot of credits here and a lot of different areas of topics that we're super interested. Tell us what you're doing and what you want our audience to know.
Sure. Well, our specialty at EBL Coaching, where I'm the founder and director, is providing one-on-one tutoring to students who have special education needs, including, of course, students with autism. We do a lot of work with students who have autism. And what we specialize in is really building core academic skills, reading, spelling, writing, math, executive functioning skills, using the right combination of research-based multisensory techniques that are most appropriate for each student.
Amazing. There's so many things in there where I'm sure that our parents are like, because this is a pretty pivotal time of year. I'm a former teacher, and we did a show a couple of weeks ago about how to make the most out of the summer, how to get the most success. And I think that summer's an ideal time to catch up on things that have been dogging them the previous year and get ready for the next year. So I imagine you're pretty busy during the summer with tutoring, am I correct?
Absolutely. In fact, summer, as you alluded to, is such a great time to work on building these skills because we don't necessarily have those constraints of school and homework that needs to get done. So it really gives us that opportunity to spend a lot of time developing and building these core academic skills.
And a lot of times when I talk to parents, it seems like they feel they're not empowered. They feel like, oh, you know, I'd really like for my child to be doing better, but I don't know exactly what to work on. I don't know how to work on it. Maybe the tutor that they want to go to is 40 miles away and that they've got other children they have to shepherd other places. It becomes really hard. But you even do things virtually. In fact, that's one of the ways that you can work.
We absolutely do. In fact, in a way, I would say that was a silver lining that came out of the pandemic.
Amen.
In that we were able to really develop amazing technology and electronic resources that we use with students when we provide one-on-one virtual sessions, which really allows the sessions to be almost as though the student and the tutor are working together in person. So to answer your question, absolutely, we're doing a great deal of virtual tutoring, and it's allowed us to not only help students in the New York, New Jersey area, but to really expand nationally and now really internationally to help so many more kids who have autism and special education needs.
And so if somebody were to call and say, look, I need tutoring, are they going to get you, or they might get you, or you have staff that also do this with you? How does that work?
We have staff, so I don't do the actual tutoring myself, but I try to speak to every parent, and oftentimes I'll do my own evaluation of the student as part of my role as the director of the program, and I do that virtually as well, just to give me a picture of who that student is. I also like to read any IEPs or other evaluations that have been done to again give me a whole picture of who that child is and to help me work on who I think the best match would be for that child. And just to tap back into what you were saying about parents not really knowing how to help their child or what to do, we really find that the more we can work as a team with the family, in addition to with the school, the better. So as long as parents are open to it, we find it really helpful for us to give materials and tools for parents to work on in between sessions with their child to reinforce what we do during the sessions.
Absolutely. That's the way you get the maximum out of it. But I love that, you'll meet with them to kind of go over what kinds of things. So a parent can come to you not even knowing for sure what they want to work on, and you'll help them to figure that out.
Absolutely, yes.
But I gotta say that one of the biggest things that we've all learned is that reading comprehension is a big stumbling block for a lot of our kids. That if they're, you can be working on all kinds of things, but if they're not understanding what they're reading, it can really hinder them. And that I think a lot of the things that I see at school, they're not working on the reading comprehension in a way that's really useful. So talk a little bit about what you do to work on reading comprehension with your company.
Sure, absolutely. We do a lot of work with reading comprehension. In fact, many students, I'm sure you know, who have autism tend to be fairly strong with more of the mechanical aspects of reading and writing, decoding words, spelling. But when it comes to reading comprehension and inferencing, drawing conclusions, abstract language, that's a real challenge for them. So it is a very big part of what we do. It's a skill that, as you know, affects essentially all aspects of school, including math. And there are many strategies that we use. One strategy, just to give you an example, is a highlighting strategy that we use. It's research-based, where we teach students to really become more active readers. So they learn to read a passage, then they learn to go back and highlight the topic, which is usually 1, 2, or 3 words describing what the passage is about, and they highlight that in blue. And then we teach them to highlight the main idea in green, which is what the author is saying about the topic. And then we talk about important details. What is an important salient detail? What is not? And we teach students to highlight those salient details in yellow. So we're not only building reading comprehension skills, but we're teaching students to actively engage with the text, to become more active rather than passive readers, which really helps them on so many levels.
Well, I think everybody who will watch this will now want to work with your team. Where do they find you? Where can they find out more? How can they get started?
Thank you. The best place really is our website, which is eblcoaching.com. There's lots of information on how they can reach us, lots of articles I've written, blogs that I've written, but most importantly, it's the best way to find out about us and to get in touch with us. We also have handles on Facebook and Instagram under EBL Coaching, so that's another outlet as well.
Okay. And then, nobody ever likes to talk about cost, but clearly there is a cost associated with this, and as there are with any tutoring that you guys will do. So give us an idea for virtual coaching, because I'm sure that it's different based on who you're working with and so on and so forth, but give us an idea of how, or can you? Am I being rude asking?
You're not being rude, but it varies so much on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
We do try to work with families who have different financial means if possible. There are some situations like in New York City where families are able to get the Department of Education to fund the tutoring. So it just varies so much on a case-by-case basis. So the best bet would be for the family to reach out to our office and we can have a private conversation about that.
Wonderful. I love that answer. Okay, and then, is there, you work with from pre-K up through 12. Is there anybody that isn't a good candidate for you? I would assume that we need to get a little bit of buy-in from the student to want to do it, and that the parents can work with you to make that happen. But do you find that there are certain prerequisites that you want in place before working with somebody?
Well, really our specialty and the students we're able to help the most are students who are struggling with a skill or with a set of skill, whether it's just reading or reading, writing, and math or executive functioning skills. Our specialty is really not test prep or taking the A student to an A plus, but it's really helping those struggling learners to build and to remediate their core academic skills. That's our specialty, and that's really what we can help so many students do.
I love this. So again, it's
Yes,
coaching.com, did you say?
correct. Yes.
eblcoaching.com. And then, so the first conversation that they have with you, that's a free conversation, right? To see if it's a good fit and to find out how much it would cost you.
Yes.
Wonderful. And you are based in the New York, New Jersey area, but you're taking clients all around the globe.
Absolutely, we sure are.
So for those of you in India or Pakistan or Dubai, you're not let out of this. That's so great because, you know, there's a lot of tutoring stuff that has to be local, right? And then there are some other virtual ones, but they're only in the United States. And I find that a lot of people from around the world are asking for help. And this reading comprehension piece, so critical. What else do you want to share with our viewers before we let you go today?
Well, I think that a big part of what we do is using a multisensory approach to teaching. So we don't just focus on one modality or just work out of a workbook, but we really try to engage those senses, the visual, the auditory, the tactile, kinesthetic, which helps so many students to thrive academically, but especially students who have special education needs, including learning and attentional challenges. It's really the best way to help them thrive.
I'm sure you've got some amazing success stories too. Do you want to share one or two with us? What comes to mind?
Sure. Well, there's one that comes to mind that actually happened fairly recently. One of the first students that I personally ever worked with, which I'm going to age myself, I feel like, but was one of my first students. He was a kindergarten boy who had severe ADHD and severe dyslexia and could not read at all, was jumping up and down through every session. I didn't know what the future was going to hold for this child, but just recently his mom reached out to me and told me that not only did he graduate college, but he went to graduate school and is now working as an engineer. And that was just music to my ears.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Well, I hope that people will go to your website, check out what you have available, because now is the best time. And I'm sure that with your help, they can identify a couple of things to work on during the summer that will jumpstart you for the fall and into your education next year, you guys. This is how you make up ground, this right here. And if you are not somebody who has an educational background, it's so much better to go to an expert and have them help you, but you need to participate in it as well. As the doctor was just saying, that they'll give you things to, if you want to work on at home, to go hand in hand with what they're doing to get even more bang for your buck. I just love it. EBL Coaching. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, you take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
How wonderful. I'll tell you, you guys, if you're frustrated with the way things are going, let me tell you one quick story of somebody that I know and love, that the school was doing the IEP and saying this young person is not capable of XYZ, and they basically were marginalizing them and giving them crap goals in their IEP. And the mom was a fierce mama warrior and was not taking that, and put her, like said, what things does my child need to be able to do for you to be able to put her in this program? And they begrudgingly gave her a list of things. Well, she would have to understand this, and she would have to understand that, and she would have to be reading at this level. And Mama Bear took that seriously, and in one summer got her there with tutoring. I'm telling you, it's an amazing thing to do. Okay, our last guest today is Anthony Vasquez. He's been with us here before on the show. He's a favorite of ours. He is going to be talking with us today about a performance that he's got coming up very soon, I think. So let's turn it over to Anthony. Anthony, are you there?
Hello.
How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm doing okay. I want you to know that I came, because Anthony, tell them where you work.
Hello, Autism viewers. This is Anthony Vasquez again. I work at Smart and Final Extra in Northridge, the big store.
And I came there one night because I was saying I was going to drop by and see if you had that spaghetti sauce that I wanted. And you were so good and sent me an email about it and whatever. And I came to the store. You were not there. Did they tell you that I was there? Because I told them to tell you that I had been there.
No, I was probably off for the rest of the day that time.
Yeah, you were. But I made sure that I told the person who was working the register, I asked if you were there. They said you weren't. You'd gone home for the day. And I said, can you please make sure and tell him I was there? And they said, well, do you want to leave a note? And I said, no, just tell him the lady, he was on my podcast recently. And I said, just tell him the lady who did the podcast that you were on was there. And he said, oh, I'll make sure and tell him. And he didn't tell you? I'm so disappointed.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I'm
sure to note of it.
Well, I came by to see you. But anyway, how's it been going at your job?
My job has been doing pretty good. Thank you, Shannon.
Okay, so but you asked to come on today because you wanted to talk about something else. Tell us what you wanted to talk about.
Yes. So, Autism viewers and Shannon Penrod. Today, I'm back on the show so I can tell you about 2 musical concerts that Spectrum Laboratories is having this month.
Well, okay, so when are they, first of all?
I actually have the list right here.
Okay, you go right into it.
Yep, questions and answers for each one are welcome.
Okay.
Yeah. So this coming Sunday, May 21st, we are having our first concert of the semester. It's going to be at the Knitting Factory in North Hollywood. Tickets are currently on sale right now, and Shannon, I will email you the link in case you want to come.
Okay. I
Yeah.
think I already got the link. I think that Garth already sent it to me, and I don't think I can because I have a conflict, but I'm going to look at it again. But tell us what's going to be happening during this concert on Sunday.
Yes. So on this show, this coming Sunday, May 21st, I'm going to be singing with my Spec Band's 1 group 4 songs.
Okay. Is it a secret, or can you tell us what the 4 songs are?
It's not a secret.
Okay, let's hear.
I'm sure Garth will be happy that I announce his songs.
Okay.
I will be singing The Eye of the Tiger by Survivor, which is the opening intro of the show. It's going to involve me doing hand poses and me yelling at the audience a happy greeting like, "Hello, welcome to the Spectrum Laboratory show. Please enjoy it."
Cool. Very cool. All
And
right.
this is going to be like this.
Very nice. Okay.
Yes.
So, and then what's the second song?
So we do have the songs in order, and the first one was the correct starting of the order.
Okay, and what's the next one?
The second one is All Day and All the Night by the Kings. All day and all of the night.
Okay. That's very cool, very cool. And then
Yes.
what's next?
By the Beatles, Twist and Shout.
The Beatles. I love the Beatles.
Me too.
And I love that song. Do you get to twist and shout while you're twisting and shouting?
Yes, I do. And in fact, I'm doing it like this.
I love that.
And like this too.
Very nice. Good moves, good moves. And what's the last song?
And the last one is by the Rolling Stones, I Can't Get No Satisfaction.
Oh,
I can't get no.
Okay, don't sing too much because we don't want a copyright infringement. That's about enough. But we can do short snippets, but more they flag us. We don't want that. So,
Got it.
of the 4, do you have a favorite?
I have 2 favorites.
Okay, tell us.
All Day and All the Night and Twist and Shout.
Okay, why are those your 2 favorites?
The reason why those 2 are my 2 favorites, it's because I just love hearing how people are singing it to the audiences.
Oh, okay. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And how many people are in the band?
Ooh, if I had to estimate, I'm going to pick like 7 or 8.
Okay, amazing, amazing. And now, are you just singing, which is enough, or are you also playing some sort of an instrument?
I'm just singing because like I mentioned in my last interview with you, I'm just a singer.
Okay. All right. Sometimes people, though, I think of Davy Jones from the Monkees. He played the tambourine. I count that. But Mickey Dolenz played the drums, which, is a different thing. Anyway, Okay, so that's the first performance. That's on Sunday, May 21st at the Knitting Factory. Tickets are available. People can go to Spec Labs on Facebook, I'm sure, or their website. But a lot of times these things sell out. There have been times when I've gone to get tickets really late and been sold out. So people should get their tickets soon, right? I've never been to the Knitting Factory. Have you been there before? Have you already done a rehearsal there?
No, I've never been there, but I've physically seen it from the outside on the sidewalk.
But is it big? Does it let a lot of people in? Is this a huge venue or a small venue?
It's not like big like a building that's like 100 feet tall. If I had to guess, it's like 50 feet tall.
Okay. But do you think, well, it's going to sell out because these things always sell out. So people should get their tickets right now. They should make sure that they do that. But that, you said there's 2 performances, and that's the first one. What's the second one?
Yes. And after the second one I'll mention the times they start.
Oh, okay. So what time does the Sunday, May 21st one start?
Okay, so the doors open at 6 p.m. and the show starts at 7. And based on an email that Garth Herberg sent to us, it's going to be 2 hours and 30 minutes long in total, the performance.
Okay, that's a nice, good long. Is there an intermission?
Between Spec Bands 1 and 2, I'm not sure.
Okay, all right. So that's the first performance, and people should be getting tickets. What's the second performance?
Yes. And the second performance is just 4 days later. It's a recital.
Okay, and what's the recital, and where is it, and what day?
The recital is a musical concert as well. It's going to be for the singing studio classes, like
Okay.
I do on Mondays, like I've mentioned.
Okay, and so what day is that taking place?
That's going to be just 4 days later, which is Thursday, May 25th, 2023.
Okay, and right before the holiday weekend, good planning.
Yes.
And did you say the 20, I'm writing it down so I can remember it, the 24th or the 25th?
The 25th.
25th. And what time is that one?
Yep. So it is to start at 6 p.m. and it's going to be 90 minutes long. And the reason for that is because by 8 o'clock, everybody should be out the door, because at that time, 8 o'clock, another event's going to be happening.
Okay. All right. So in this recital, who's performing?
Me and my classmates and a bunch of other students who are also in the Monday singing studio classes.
And so what will you be singing during the recital?
I'm going to be singing my duet with my classmate, You've Got a Friend in Me, from Disney Pixar's Toy Story.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that song. And who's your duet partner?
My duet partner is Susha Myritsky.
Oh, Susha. Susha's wonderful. I've met Susha. So what do you want to tell us about that recital? You got to be pretty excited, right?
Yes. And my solo, just me, I'm going to be singing Disney's Friend Like Me from Aladdin.
Oh, I super love that song. I bet you've got some moves planned for that too.
Yes, I do. A lot of them.
All right. Well, I'm not sure that we're supposed to give those away. I don't want Garth to get mad at me. But that's wonderful. Are you a big Aladdin fan?
Yes, because I do like Jasmine, and this one is going to be performed by Will Smith.
Well, you're doing it based on his performance, but it's going to be you performing, right?
Yes, but I'll be dressing up.
Oh, so this is with costumes even. Now, who made your costume, or did you buy it?
It's not like Speckoween where we were dressed up. It's going to be, there's no dress code. It's just, we just have to look nice in general.
I see. So that's pretty exciting. And we didn't say where the recital is.
Yes, it's going to be at the Victory Theater Center in Burbank.
Wow. The Victory Theater Center in Burbank. And that starts at 6 p.m. Now, are they selling tickets for that as well, or is that invitation only?
That's an invitation. Admission is free, but space is limited.
Got it. And I'm sure that all your families want to be there to see that. Your friends and family.
Yes, I'm pretty sure they will.
So who comes when you do these things? Who comes and is in your cheering section?
My mother.
Yeah. Does she love it when you sing?
She does.
She must be so proud of you, Anthony.
She is. She's always been so proud of me, even on bigger events like my graduation from Miller CTC.
I'll bet. You know, that's a big deal for a parent. I haven't asked you this before, Anthony, but are you an only child or do you have brothers and sisters?
I have siblings.
Are they older or younger?
My brother's older and my sister's younger. I'm the second.
And so you're a middle child like me. Middle
Oh, wow.
child, middle children, we stick together, right? So do they come when you perform when they can? I know sometimes people are busy.
No, they live too far for
Oh, they live far away. That's too bad. Well, I bet your mom videotapes it.
that. Yep.
Yeah.
If anything, that, so they can see it virtually.
Okay, so we've told people about the two events. The one that I think the public can go to is this Sunday, May 21st, at the Knitting Factory in Hollywood. And that happens on Sunday. Doors open at 6 o'clock, performances at 7, and it's estimated to be around 2.5 hours. You can see Anthony and other people performing. The 4 numbers that Anthony said, but there are other numbers as well. I'm sure that you've seen some of the other things that other people are doing. What's the thing that is the most exciting that you aren't doing, that you love watching?
What do you mean by that?
So of all the other performances that are happening at the Knitting Factory, is there any one that you particularly are a big fan of that somebody else is doing? Like whenever I was in a show, I would have a favorite moment that I like doing, but I would always have a moment that somebody else was doing that I would love to watch because they were so good. Do you have that or have you even been able to see what they're doing?
No, I have not been able to see what other people are doing because Spec Bands 2 right happens after my group and I go home.
See. But I imagine sometime in the next couple of days, you guys are going to do a rehearsal in the space, right? You'll get to go to the Knitting Factory, and then you'll get to see it. Well, we've got about 3 minutes left, Anthony. What else do you want to tell our viewers at home?
Yes, so Shannon, actually back in April, the last Friday, I actually went back to the Ed Asner Family Center.
And how was that?
It was good, fun.
Well, did you go to the party that they had?
Yeah, the Disney karaoke event. Yeah, I went to that.
My son was there. I didn't get to be there. But so what did you go dressed as?
I wore a black dark Disney shirt.
Okay, wonderful. And you had a good time?
Yes, and I sang "You've Got a Friend in Me" there as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Did you meet my son while you were there?
No, I didn't know he was there.
My son works there for those events. He's always he's the
cool.
guy that's always he always wears a hat. So he was running around with a hat. We'll make sure that we introduce him to you next time. But anyway, what else do you want to tell us?
I saw Chelsea Darnell there. Do you know her?
I do know Chelsea. She is magnificent, isn't she? She's so much fun.
Yep.
Have you ever
She is really fun.
Have you ever gotten to sing with Chelsea?
No, but she's actually watched me perform before.
She's a really good singer. She's a really good singer. But I'm glad she's gotten to see you perform. What else do you want to tell us?
Yeah. So this whole time I've been at Spectrum Laboratory, Garth Herberg has been my teacher.
We love Garth. He's pretty amazing. We were very excited when Garth got engaged last year.
Yeah, I was excited too. I did hear about that.
Yeah, we're very happy for him.
Yep. And Jason Weisbrod, his partner, he's
Yes.
pretty cool. He's the acting teacher.
They're both amazing. We love both of them. Have you ever taken one of the acting classes there?
No, I haven't. Burbank's too far for me, but North Hollywood is a lot closer.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, we got like a minute left. What else you got on your agenda you want to talk about?
Yeah. So with Tierra del Sol, I want to tell you that I've got some new experiences over there.
Okay, doing what?
I'm still at the Tierra del Sol farm. I'm still at the Bristol Hospice in Glendale.
Okay.
Now I'm volunteering at LAPD car washing.
Ooh, well, that's kind of exciting. I want to go back and talk about the farm, though. This is a very exciting time of year on the farm. What's been going on the farm?
I've been raking up leaves. I've been cleaning up their goat pen. Twice I cleaned up their chicken pen, and I've also fed the chickens and feeding the goats as well. Brand new hay and fresh water.
There you go. I don't like the smell of chicken poo. Chicken poo is not good smell.
I see.
Did you mind the smell of the chicken poo?
I actually never had dealt with that before. Never.
Okay, when you cleaned out the chicken coop, you didn't smell the poo?
No, but instead I took out some eggs and put them in egg cartons.
Okay, well, that's pretty fun. It sounds like they're running, because if people have a really clean chicken coop, it doesn't smell. But when it's not clean, I don't like the smell of chicken poo, and pig poo is not a good smell. Horse poo and cow poo is not great, but it's so much better than chicken poo, and I don't know how we descended into that. But are you enjoying the car wash?
I am. It's pretty easy. We're washing like 7 cars in total.
So are you washing police cars?
Yeah, police cars. Yeah.
That's why they all look so shiny. I didn't realize that they have their own personal car wash.
They also have their mechanic and their own little gas station there.
Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? That makes total sense. Well, Anthony, this has been so enjoyable. I'm glad you reached back out to give us this update. And I don't think I'm going to be able to be there on the 21st, but I'm going to wish you guys that you have a whole bunch of fun and that you break a leg. Not in the real sense, in the fake sense, break a leg. So have fun, okay?
I see.
And tell everybody at Spec Labs that we say hello, okay?
Sure thing, Shannon. You too.
All right, you take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Okay, see you soon. So everybody, that's our show for today, but we're going to be back live tomorrow morning. A lot of times when we do Let's Talk Movies with Moira and Shannon, we pre-record that, but the last couple we've kind of enjoyed doing it live and having you guys chime in, and I'm going to tell you, the fur is going to fly tomorrow because we're going to talk about Cocaine Bear, and we're going to talk about Champions. And I'm kind of giving my review away, aren't I? But we're talking about so many of the new things that are out, plus a review of some of the things that are in their final season, like Firefly Lane and things of that nature. Believe me, you're going to want to tune in just to hear what I have to say about Cocaine Bear, okay? Enough said. So that'll be tomorrow, and then on Friday we have Stories from the Spectrum. I think it's an Amy Gravino one, is it? Yes, it is. Amy Gravino, pre-recorded from the podcast-a-thon, but worth watching. So that will be on Friday, but tomorrow, live. Make sure that you're here. It's going to be exciting. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.
The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child.
If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much. See you next time.